Questions?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sufism has always been closely associated with the whirling dervishes.
Yes.
Can you explain the role of these whirling dervishes in Islam?
Okay. The so-called whirling dervish, we don't like to use that word, whirling dervish. That is what the West is putting. We have our own ways of expressing ourselves. We have our own narratives. We have our own stories. We have our own names. We have our own titles. Sufism, which is tasawwuf. Tasawwuf is tariqat. Tariqat is living the lifestyle of the Prophet ﷺ. Shariat is what the Prophet brought, his orders. And tariqat is how he lived. Meaning that how he lived is not just a physical aspect of things, but it is a spiritual aspect. It is a batin way that he is living in this world for the akhirah. So, in tasawwuf, in tariqats, there are 40 ways, 40 main ways. And one of the ways is, one of the Sufi orders is the Mevlevi order. And that was brought by Hazrati Maulana Rumi, Qarazullah Sir, that they are celebrating his anniversary according to the Rumi calendar. Yeah, recently, or right now, in a few weeks' time. Around this time, they're celebrating it. So, and the whirling, the turning, it is a method of zikr, of remembering Allah. It is the way that they are remembering Allah. Every tariqat has a way of remembering Allah. Some they're going to be standing, some they're going to be sitting, some they're going to be jumping. Yes, some they're going to be having a loud zikr. Some is completely silent. And some zikrs that they whirl. And that is something that Hazrati Maulana Rumi brought. That is also according to the sunnat of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. And the sunnat is not just his sunnat, but meaning the sunnat of the Sahabe Kiram. Something that the Sahabe Kiram did and Holy Prophet saw and he approved. And it's come down to us that that was what Hazrati Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh, he did. One of the things, one of the dalils that we have, one of the proofs that we have. Because on the day that Hazrati Abu Bakr Siddiq, he gave everything away to the way of Allah, everything that he had to the poor, everything. That he even gave the shalwar that he was wearing away to the poor, and he had nothing to wear. And he took the date leaves and he tied it around his waist like a skirt. And when he came to the presence of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, Holy Prophet started laughing until his whites of his teeth started showing. And he started laughing, seeing him walking like that. And understand, Hazrati Abu Bakr, he was one of the most influential, most wealthy, most powerful people living at that time. But he sacrificed everything. It's not that easy. Don't think it is an easy thing. There's only one Abu Bakr, not two. He did that. It's not just his own property that he did, but he sacrificed everything, his own standing in that society. So, Holy Prophet laughed and smiled and he says, Ya Abu Bakr, what you did is so beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the angels, they are so happy and honored that they themselves are all wearing these date tree palms around their waist for your honor. All the angels in paradise. And when Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq heard that, oh, he entered into a station, a state, and he started turning around and around and around. And that is taken from there. And when you are turning and making the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are turning in your own orbit. You are pulling yourself into yourself. And when you are turning, you understand you are not turning. The world is turning. The world is going around you, but you are fixed. just as the whole world is turning around that sun, but the sun is fixed. The sun is whirling around the galaxies. Something has to be fixed. The kutub, they are fixed. So, when they are turning, of course, they are mimicking, they are imitating everything in creation. That is also turning and remembering Allah. Everything in creation is making zikr of Allah. The smallest atoms, they are turning, constantly turning and making the zikr of Allah. So the biggest galaxies, they are turning around and remembering Allah. Everything gets its energy from La ilaha illallah. So, in that method of zikr, remembering Allah, they are turning. The clothes that they're wearing is representing their shroud, funeral shroud, their coffin, and so many other symbolism that is also attached there. But they have lost themselves into remembering Allah, turning. Turning, so many may turn, they are still stuck to the ground. The real Mevlevis, when they turn, they are off the ground. Shaykh Effendi himself, he had witnessed. One time he was sitting with Shaykh Maulana, there was one person whirling, Shaykh Maulana giving him the permission to whirl, he started whirling. And people are just looking, because so many times, especially these whirling dervishes now, definitely, we know, now, it's become a show, isn't it? I'm not talking about those ones who are sincerely doing it. I'm not saying about those ones. I'm talking those ones who are getting money for whirling, for making a show. It's become a show now. It's become a dance. It's dancing. Not those ones. So that all people, they were watching that man that was whirling, and Shaykh Maulana was saying to the Shaykh, and he said, look, his feet, they are not on the ground. But so many people, they're not watching that because they're looking at the face. They're looking at a person who is whirling. So, wrong way of whirling. Whirling, you're supposed to take, you're supposed to give, you're supposed to look to your heart. Anyway, what do we know? But that person's feet, they were off the ground, and he was turning. Not making a big show, but it is there. Like Shaykh Maulana also saying in the Hajj, when people are turning around the Kaaba, and they're turning around the Kaaba, that is the level of the animals, where people are kicking and screaming and biting each other. But above that, and above that, and above that, there are countless levels of other ones, awliya Allah and other creatures and the angels that are also making tawaf, right up to Baitul Mamur, the original Kaaba in the paradise. And the Mevlevis, they are whirling around there, the real ones. So, there is one method of zikr, and every tariqat, they have their own method of making zikr. And the zikr, it is not the backbone, it is the marrow of Islam. The zikr, it is the life, is the essence of Islam. If you do everything else, but you're not remembering Allah, then you are not understanding what Islam is. The shahadat is to bear witness to Allah, is to remember Allah and His Prophet ﷺ. The prayer, it is to remember Allah. The fasting, it is to remember Allah. The Hajj, it is to remember Allah. Everything you do is to remember Allah. And the zikr is to remember Allah. So, those who are saying that Sufism has nothing to do with Islam, or it's mixed up, or you're taking from this and you're taking from that, they don't know. They're speaking from, not from their mouths. I don't know where they're speaking from. But there's so many different ideas these days, especially not so much now, because at least now Muslims are starting to tell their own story, like what I said before. In the past, only non-believers, non-Muslims, they are talking about tasawwuf. So they're saying, oh, these are secret Christians, these are Gnostics, these are this, these are that. They're mixing everything up. But it's nothing but the lifestyle and the practices and the hidden practices of the Holy Prophet ﷺ that is taught to those ones who want more, who want to taste more, who want to be close to the Lord. And we're making zikr to remember Allah, to be close to Allah, because Allah is saying, remember me and I will remember you. We remember everything, but we don't remember our Lord. We remember, it is a question of love. If you remember your love, the one that you love, you're never going to forget. The minute you forget, you think that you have betrayed. You'll always be lost in remembering that one. You understand, everything in dunya is supposed to make you to understand the akhirat. If you fall in love, you understand. If you haven't fallen in love, fall in love first. That's what Hazrat Rumi, Qadasahul Sirri, is saying. Fall in love, then come. Then you may understand what this path is. But the West understanding of love is just, give me, love me. No. Islamic understanding of love is I give everything. I sacrifice everything. And with that sacrifice comes hardship. But with that hardship comes a sweetness. So, that is as much as I want to say right now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Any other questions?